Okay, guys, welcome to not another fucking podcast with myself, Tom Haynes, my co-host, Dan Watson, and of course, this week's guest, Connor Launder. So Connor is a client of mine. He is a high-level competitive junior bodybuilder, but also competitive within the previously middleweight class. This time round will be light heavyweight class within the IFBB and NPC. Myself and Dan are coaches, if you didn't already know. We are bodybuilding coaches, and yeah. So today we're going to have Connor go through all sorts of bits and bobs. We've got some great questions for him, and yeah. So enjoy the episode, guys.
Okay, so firstly, I want to go on to Connor. What are your goals for this year's competitive season? What shows you're planning on doing? And what are you kind of thinking about this year?
Right. So in terms of what shows, we have a regional.
Hang on.
Kickbox.
Hang on. 1 second. Let's start with who you are, because you the fucking Connor Launder.
Right.
It's bold near Chuck. It's a popular. No one's seen him before. He's not,
Newly bald.
New amount of
New character.
relatively clean blood work going into this prep, ish. And
This.
let's find out a bit more about Connor. So Connor, come on.
Yes. So
How
I am.
bodybuilding? How did you get into picking up things and putting them back down again?
I've always been sporty. I mean, I was pretty high level within football. Up until 16, 17. Played for England schoolboys, represented the country, like international matches and everything like that. Got to a fairly high. I was left back. So I was like,
Okay.
I was like in fullback, Luke Shaw kind of. But I was like, that's when I started to get into the gym. So like, I was more in the team for my athletic ability rather than pure football. Like I was strong, I was fast, I could knock people off the ball. Like I was a bit of a unit within the team. But then I could kind of see like everyone's ability with actual football skills were going much further than I was, and I saw the
technical ability.
Yeah, I could just see. I was like, right, I'm going to leave it here. I'm more than happy to stop in. At the time, I was already kind of into the gym. I didn't know a thing about bodybuilding. I knew who like Jake, Ronnie Coleman, whoever is, but went to King's Gym in Croydon for the first time because one of my friends knew or had heard of the gym before. So we rocked up and had a look around there, and I remember. I didn't know who they were on the day, but the first day I went, James Hollinshead was training with Jordan Peters in the gym. And I remember looking at them thinking, fucking hell, these are cool. Like, at first it was like, what is that? And then it was like, that's pretty cool. Like, they are massive.
What do those people do?
Yeah, I was like, well, how did they do that? And I remember seeing James, he had like a camo vest on and so much hair on his back, like poking out. And I was like, that is disgusting. And I was like, that's pretty fucking cool though. I kind of got intrigued through that. I didn't know what to look up on Google, so I was just like, I think I just typed in bodybuilding gym advice, and I think I was on the bodybuilding.com forum for about 3 days straight, just reading. Got into bodybuilding.
Someone there was a pile of shit.
We've all been there.
No, it got me interested, and then it kind of went through the natural progression of, right, I want to be like a fitness model, and then I wanted to be a men's physique, and then I wanted to do classic as like C-Bum and Brion kind of taking over the Olympia at that point, and then it just progressed to like, right, I just want to take it all the way and just do open. So I mean, I've probably been taking bodybuilding seriously since I was 16 and a half, 17-ish. But I've been training for a long time, so I've been always, like I said, always been in the gym through just sports anyway. But managed to do like the main thing that kind of pushed me towards bodybuilding more was social media, because of, I think it was the likes of Matt Does Fitness. I think it was like David Lade at the time and stuff. And I was following them, and they were building like a cool career out of just social media. Yeah, I'm like, well, I'm going to try to do that, and it did lead to like people taking the piss and stuff at school, and it just became like a joke and stuff. But it actually did build like a decent following pretty quickly. So I mean, that helped me push towards gaining more confidence within the gym and stuff. So that again, in return, made me want to do more and become with it. So I mean, that's sort of how it all came about, and then it's just never really gone. Like it's weird. Like I don't think I can remember a time where I based a day around something that wasn't to do with eating or training. Or
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, I remember. Yeah, I think when I first saw you, Connor, and I first kind of got a bit of that guy's like that guy's good, you know, could be good in the future. So was you competed, and I believe I had someone in your collabs,
You had Charlie Bowen.
Charlie Bowen.
Oh yeah.
Charlie won, I believe, didn't he?
Charlie won that, and I think I came fourth or fifth. I think no, I didn't even get top three. I think.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. So it would have been fourth then, I'd imagine.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I remember seeing your physique, and I think my brother knew who you were and said, "Oh, that's Connor." I've seen him on Instagram or something. He would have said that to me. And I said, "Yeah, good." I said, "Needs to be sharper from the back," but that would have knocked him up two places. I remember saying something along those lines, and then 2, 3, 4 weeks later, I got this message being like, "Oh, bro, can I inquire about coaches?" I was just like, "Oh, yeah."
Yeah, I think I remember. Yeah, because I did PCA London that year. No, I did. Yeah, so it was PCA London was that show, and then I did the JT Grand Prix, which was a bit of a waste of time.
Was that the year when I had G-Goals doing the junior class
Yes.
PCI, and he spanked everyone?
Yeah, and then he also Jiggles did the JT show as well, but he did it fat just to go.
Just to do the show, yeah.
Yeah. So that's where I first met Jack.
Yeah.
And I think he mentioned something about working with you, and then I obviously saw you at PCA London because you were with Charlie.
Yeah.
I remember seeing you at the Arnold's as well because I was there for that week.
Yeah, so Arnold's was interesting. So I had Dorego competing at that one. But yeah, that didn't go very well for Jamie. But there was a good weekend in general.
Yeah. I think that it all came together because I was just like, right, I needed to switch it up because I was with Josh Bridgman before.
Yeah.
He was like my first ever coach, and I was with him from 17 through to however old, 18, whatever.
Yeah.
And I learned a lot, but I was just like, right, I need an actual, not that he's not a bodybuilding coach, but I need a coach who's
What you needed was a high level competitive coach to push you towards a high level competitive career. Josh, I don't think he's a bad coach by any stretch, but I think he's obviously very busy. So if he was able to dedicate every single second of his time to coaching, I reckon he'd be 2 levels up, but he's not. So
yeah. I think that's very accurate.
You know what I mean? And it's not me being rude, like, you know, like if you enter into what you need something, sure, you might be all right to go to, but like, you know, ultimately, like, yeah, if your goals is to be a professional competitor, and then to eventually be a pro, like a high level pro, and then eventually be Olympia thing. You know, you've got a handful of choices in the UK, really, if you want to do that. It's me, Callum, Martin, potentially Jace.
Yeah,
that's kind of like maybe if you really want, but that is your sort of style. That's kind of where your fucking stuff.
This is because there's no coaches really that compete at the highest level and also coach at the highest level. It's because you can't do both. You can't do both.
Well, Jamie does. Jamie Dorego does, but Jamie also
He doesn't compete often.
Jamie doesn't compete often anymore. No, and I think when Jamie stops competing fully and actually like properly go, do you know what? There's the trunks on the wall. I am very much just done with this. His ability to kind of just lock in even more so to even more competitors. His ability to kind of scale will go up. I would have thought. I like Jag. I know Jag really, really well. He's a great dude. He just gets some flack sometimes for stuff he just really shouldn't. But yeah. So where were we? Oh yeah. So your stuff, Tom. I think what we were talking. What was the first question we were talking about? We probably said that first, didn't we?
Probably shows.
I can possibly know what they are. So
yeah.
Tell me the shows. I don't know.
It's like bring up the calendar with everything.
Yeah. The first show is just a tick box. So it's I think it's Kingdom Classic. They called it again.
Is it Ryan Terry or the King?
I think it's Kingdom. So it's 5th of April, I believe. It's 9 weeks out this weekend. That's
going to be a short prep then.
We're not going to be fully in shape for it. We're going to need enough to stand.
Yeah. To be able to qualify.
Posting any pictures of it or whatever, he will go on, stand there with, you know, whatever, no peak, no nothing, stand there, do his little twirl, do his poses, walk off stage, and get straight back on his diet that day.
Yeah. Makes sense.
Stop about it. Yeah, like yeah.
It's just to tick the box, and then so 5 weeks post that, it will be then the first main show of the season, which is the Sweden Grand Prix.
Okay.
Really, really something. It looks like it's a pretty good show, really, really well run.
It's the one run by Gasp, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, I've heard that.
They've got a regional the day before, and then the pro qualifier on the Sunday, which is obviously the one I'll be going for. I'll be doing light heavies this year, which is pretty cool because I was right at the top of middleweights last year. Like I was a couple pounds under the top of the cap for middleweight. So it'll be nice to kind of stand because the middleweights aren't usually that busy. The shows that I did last year when I did middleweights, I was either the only one or I was like one of three.
Yeah.
So it wasn't as competitive as I thought it was going to be. So I'm excited to see because the light heavies is always a big class. See where I stand. That's sort of the goal with that is to put myself against these people who have been in that class for a long time. Kind of see what I look like, see what I need to improve on, see where I'm at.
So you're going to be somewhere in the middle of the light heavies, aren't you? If you usually maxing out the light heavies, you'll take one more off.
Yeah, so definitely.
And as well, what's kind of cool there is that think about it, that's like, the year's worth of progress to the top end of light heavies, right? That 198 pound on stage peeled, yeah. But that means that you are then 14 pounds away from the 212 weight cap as a professional, which is again 1.5 years, 2 years of gaining away if you continue at the current rate, so then you're maxing out 212 cap as a professional, which is really like that's cool.
So is the goal mainly just to stand up against what will be considered pro caliber, or do you think there's any chance at the pro card this year, or is that?
I think I've got to look at it as realistically as much as you can. I don't think it's a thing this year.
So the only way that it's possible is if we get a deadline at one of the pro qualifiers that you do, and that's not going to happen in Sweden because it'll be stacked out. And then what have you got? Any other pro quals picked out?
No, the only other pro qual would be the PCA one, which is obviously not IFBB.
Oh, it's not IFBB. So yeah, so there's no chance of being able to get it this year, and that's okay. We're very okay with that. But the goal is to be competitive within the light heavies, and if we're not competitive within the light heavies, I'll be kind of like, fuck, like we need to really like work out what happened there and that can adjust and work. We'll everything towards what we need to do.
I think at least pushing to see the kind of like the outlook of like we're not going there to turn pro, we're going there to see what we need to do to turn pro.
No, but if we walk away with anything outside of the top 5, I'm going to be in a lineup of 10. I'm going to be miffed.
Yeah. I don't see that happening. I don't see that happening with
You just need to appeal to the bone. It's one of those things like people don't really kind of get the level until they've kind of been there and done it, and then they're like, oh, okay, these guys do not fuck around. And it's like, yeah. I usually use like when I'm trying to be funny, I use like a drugs thing. Like I'd be like, they're going in on 3.5 grams, like of stuff that they've been on that for all year. Like you aren't going against Europeans who are sane. You're going against Europeans who are off their nuts.
Yeah.
Do not expect to go in there and be like, I'm going to nice.
Yeah.
See his protocol into this. So finish at 1,000 milligrams, but like, what was something glory? You're going to get eaten alive. Stop being a dickhead.
Yeah.
Like this is bodybuilding. Fucking deal with it.
Yeah, no, I mean this is true. I literally saw somebody the other day commenting on one of my videos talking about the fact that he was taking 4 grams of gear and he like from Spain or something, and that was like kind of the norm around there for like amateur shows.
Europeans do like a lot of drugs. They like high tests. They like really high tests. They haven't quite worked out that trend doesn't need to go up to 600. And they start their orals at around about 8 or 10 mg carb. They're very, very heavy drug. Heavy drug. It's very good. Which is one of those things. In the UK, we're like, well, we'll live longer, but we'll get there a little bit slower.
Yeah, it's a balancing.
Anyway, regardless of that. So, Connor, the other one is the universe qualifier and then the universe shows.
Yes,
which is a 2-day peak. Some people don't like doing as coaches, but I think it's really easy to manage.
Yeah. I think, with the PCA shows, I think the universe has been a pretty big show anyway, so that's pretty cool. And like Tom said, to peak just for the Sunday, obviously the Saturday will look good, but it's not going to be fully ready. Sunday, just land it on the money as much as we can.
The thing with that is that you will be fairly judged the second day. They won't go, oh well, he won yesterday, so we'll make him win again. Like the guy who won, sit that night. Just loses his head and goes, I should be fine the next day. He'll get spanked by the guy who got second or third because they've landed the plane proper.
Yeah. Do you think the approach going into that is just going to be a bit fuller the day before, then wash off some of the fluid over the?
So the way that I would do it is I would do this. So I would go the show's the first. So we would load somewhat on the Friday.
Yeah.
We would load two slightly larger meals on the Saturday morning relatively early. We'll have a very small protein feed about 2 hours before stage. So we'll get up relatively early on the Saturday. We'll do two carb meals then. protein only before, just to kind of let things start dipping down a little bit. Potentially some electrolytes and sodium replenishment post stage.
Yeah.
Then we'll continue to load then. So we've kind of like, you haven't really dried off. You're not really going to dry for that first one. You're kind of just going to go on with like, just not.
It's quite full.
Change. If you're peeled enough, you're dry anyway. Right?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, go outside. So no water restriction, no nothing. He'll still drink water like with the first 2 meals. Maybe just limit it like before the stage, so you don't got like loads flowing around your system and your gut and stuff. And then like post stage, kind of like fill a little bit more, like load up a little bit, and then kind of just assess every 2 hours. The trick will actually be to go and get a shower and go and clean up the tan so that I can clearly see what his physique looks like. Because if you've got half sweaty and half non-sweaty tan all over you, I'm going to be looking at those chicken faces going, what the fuck is this?
Yes.
I'm going to probably be there, or I will be there. So I'll be like, he'll come to my room, or I'll go to his hotel room every 2 hours, every 3 hours, and be like, how'd you look? Okay, cool. Yeah, do this, and this. And then we'll go back, and then we'll check again. So it'll be like 2-3 more feeds before he goes to bed. Now pop a diuretic before bed, and then wake up dry the next day.
Yeah.
You don't restrict water on the day or the day before.
Oh yeah, for sure.
You can't.
You can't dehydrate twice in a row. Like,
no, it doesn't work. You just look like shit. Like, quite frankly, what matters more? Trying to look good for both of them, or looking enough to get you through the finish line for the first one, and then the fucking mustard the next day.
I think a great example of that was at the universe with Kaya Yusuf, where we were both there, and he was like pretty good in the qualifier, and then the day after, like they obviously did some dehydration. He came in real sharp, like for that, and it was bloody impressive.
Yeah.
So in terms of, obviously you've already done a prep together. What are the lessons learned from last prep going in?
Don't push too long. Can't drag it out too long, or his lip goes to shit. Don't say goes to shit. His lip goes to shit. Just fucking basic standard rule, isn't it? Anyone's head and body goes to shit.
Yeah.
Push them for too long. Anyone, absolutely anyone. Young guys are more susceptible to it just because of just kind of like a life experience, this sort of thing. Something being derogatory at all. Blended junior competitors, I'd say exactly the same thing about them. And myself, as a junior, when I was a junior, I was a fucking, I couldn't, I did one prep with 19 weeks. It fucking killed me.
Yeah.
Absolutely wrote me off. Like, and I was so psychologically fucked by the end of it. My coach at the time was giving me a free meal. I would start at 6 p.m. and finish at like 11. I just binge, just eat shit.
Yeah.
I just so wrote off from the week. It was the only way in my head I knew to just kind of push enough food in so that I would actually be able to last until at least fucking Wednesday in the gym. Because, you know, and so it was just one of those, like, I think you just kind of get to a point where you're like, literally just, at a certain age, the switch kind of goes, oh, hang on a minute.
Yeah.
And you just kind of like, you know, you become far more kind of, it's easy to tolerate like a long diet and, you know, whatever, you kind of just mind over matter. But obviously as a young, and Connor's, the thing is that Connor's kind of got that now. You know what I mean? Like we were really good the whole way through the prep. We fucking smashed it. It was at the end when things just got really, really like, do you know, but you competed a few times, hadn't you, as well? Do you know what I mean?
I mean, what, as in that season? Or...
Yeah. Was it
we did 4 shows total.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it was only the last one or the last weekend where
it was the British, yeah.
Yeah, I think it was a shame with that one because obviously the last shows were the British finals and stuff. So I know that there was a little bit of disappointment from both of your sides of like, you know, that things went wrong. But obviously it was first time working together.
And that's okay. And the thing is, as well, going into this one, we know for a fact that's why we're doing a 10-week prep for this first one.
Yeah,
we don't give a monkey's arse about it. We care about PCA and kind of getting a big fat fucking wedge of redemption. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
The last season we did the TBS takedown, whatever it was called, and we were like, at that point I was like, right, I'm not even 100% here, but like when I look back, I was like, right, I was pretty fucking peeled for that show.
Yeah,
and the good 5 or 6 weeks before.
Body just backfires. Yeah, that was landing it too early. Ultimately,
but it's, you know, it's good.
I gets in shape really quick. So Connor gets in shape relatively quick. So even this 10-week diet, it's still going to be a very good bodybuilding station. So
I think
we took out cardio last time at 10 weeks out. Like we didn't have any cardio in from then. It was just steps.
I think it's good to kind of talk to people about that in the fact that not every season you're going to have it nailed perfectly. If you've not had the prior experience working with the athlete,
It's no good to jump ship from a coach either, especially if you've had
Yeah.
3 good showings, 1 bad.
that's another thing.
1 bad. It
I
doesn't
would
mean
say-
it's not the coach's fault by any stretch of any imagination.
Like Connor's got a good track record of staying with coaches for a lengthy period of time. You were with Josh for a long time, and you've been with Tom for a long time. And I think people in kind of today's age jump ship very quickly. It's like, as
Some slight inconvenience makes
Yeah.
you not do. It's just crackers, isn't it? I'm not being funny, right? The year before I turned Jack Pro, we did great,
Yeah.
bad,
yeah,
and then he went and clean swept everything. Clean
Yeah.
swept Alicante. Wasn't even a competition at that point in the
Yeah.
overall, right? So does that mean that I magically got better, or we had it right all along? We just had to kind of learn how to see.
yeah. This is so
Your
true.
foot's only going to improve as well.
Yeah,
They're not going to go downhill, are they? Like, I'm only going to become better. When I've got Sarah and Jack and all that to Olympia, either this year or whatever, I'm only going to become a better.
100%. And I think a lot of people don't look at it in that way, and they should. You have to learn people's bodies. Everybody is different. More experience in the sport does allow you to become better at guessing, right? The more people that I've coached and the more people you've coached, we get better at making quite.
That's your face. Physiques, you see, like, oh, okay, I've seen that physique, and that's.
Yeah. You start to see similarities.
Will only get better. Connor will only get better from stuff that I learn, from stuff he knows from other
Yeah.
people, with his own physical progression. Yeah.
So we start to see similarities and patterns in physiques, and we make good guesses, but we still don't get it right every time. Nobody gets it right.
Like Howard does it, Zach does it, Martin does it.
No, I've seen every top level miss, and I think because people always go off social media and social media's highlight reel, you don't always see the misses. That doesn't mean they don't happen, all right, guys. No matter who you get coached by, until they've got the experience working with you and your physique and understand how your body works, they might not get it right every time. That's just
That's that chance to get it wrong every time.
Yeah. I think one of the big one.
This is the thing. He did really well, and then he obviously took his foot completely off the gas. Stopped caring. It looks.
I think one of the prime examples of like a coach where just stick with your coaches, Flex Lewis and Neil Hill.
Yeah.
How many
There were shows.
How many O's is it? Is it 5 or 6 wins?
I think he won.
There you go. Then.
It'll be 7. It might even be 7,
He won.
He need to go to 8.
I'm sure they had shows where they didn't land there properly, and
I didn't like it. Yeah.
then when he was 20 or 19.
Yeah, he was a 202 competitor when it was still a 202 class instead of 202.
Yeah.
So here's a good question as well, just go forward. So Connor, in terms of how genuinely long do you feel it's going to take you to hit that pro level, not pro level physique, but pro carb? Like how long do you genuinely think?
I would say we'd look at the 2027, maybe.
That's exactly where my head is. Yeah, that's exactly where my head is.
Because it's not any sort of offense to any other classes or categories, but open bodybuilding is so different in terms of turning pro and being a good pro. It's so different, like men's physique and classic.
I mean, this is going to really offend a lot of bikini ladies and men's physique guys, but it's somewhat a complete crapshoot. You go to a show and it just happens to be quiet, and you're a relatively hot, above average level competitor. There's a chance that you could be in the runnings for it. Okay, don't be wrong. I understand that you have to you have to work. Everyone's putting effort in. Everyone is really good at that level. Ultimately, when you are all on the same sort of level, it will matter who the judging panel is in front of you and which particular show and lighting and stage and place you are at that given time. Because the physiques are very, very similar. The thing is when someone absolutely clean sweeps it, they deserve to have clean swept it. Like Josh Wall winning the Europeans, when I got Josh to get his higher physique, obviously men's physique pro card, smashed 100. There's 100 competitors in men's physique. Yeah. Yes, obviously wins the whole thing. Me at that level, it's different, but sometimes it's kind of just there's the bigger the individuals get, the harder that class is in terms of how much it takes to then improve to step up. As a bikini competitor, if you put 2-3 pounds on his glutes, you are a totally different human body. Right? Yeah. There's a body. If Connor puts 2-3 pounds on, I go.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
I definitely agree with that. I think like the weight caps and stuff definitely have an impact on that as well. Because if everybody is a similar level of muscularity, the main things that are kind of is like who shows up right on the day and like structural benefits. So a lot of people in those classes can win based off good structure, and good structure alone won't get you an open bodybuilding pro card. It just won't.
I think when you look at some of the current, even just in the UK, the current top amateurs in open, and I look at some of their physiques, and I see comments on social media sometimes, or even like the BTS page or whatever saying that NAFP pro card or whatever, and then I look at some of the amateurs in the UK who aren't pro, who could be pro. Nick, for example, Connor, who obviously now pro but wasn't.
Yeah.
Like if they're not pro, there's ways.
It's like Sam I keep mentioning like fourth or whatever it was at like a pro quad class. He's like, that's fucking criminal because it's so
Yeah.
you know, just thinking, bro, if you'd gone to some like back ass, middle of nowhere, shitty little show,
He would have won it. Exactly.
Yeah.
So the standard is huge. And I look at some of them, I'm like, right, there is dues to be paid. There is time you need to put in for this. So it's like, I'm not delusional. I'm not going to sit here and think like, oh, I'm going to go for a fucking pro card this year, because it's not on the table.
Yeah, I think kind of how you feel about this sort of thing. What's your thoughts on this? So you tweet that as well. You know, people used to obviously there used to be one pro card per year in the UKBF days. So that meant that the bottleneck was absolutely tight as anything, right? But the amount of competitors was minimal, wasn't it? It was not a really super mega popular. Social media has blown up bodybuilding, competitive bodybuilding to a grand scale, which means that the bottleneck essentially becomes bigger. But it doesn't in a sense because there's so many more trying to through it. It's still just as tight, isn't it? That's the way that I look at it as well. So it used to be like this with minimal people trying to get through, and one would just get through every year, which was like still hard for them. See, well, I'm not saying it was difficult, it wasn't difficult, but now it's like fucking chunky big thing. But there's still just as many, like, you know, in respect.
I think you can compare it to like with the whole bottleneck kind of thing. Is like obviously if one could get through and the bottleneck's tighter, but then if the bottleneck is slightly wider, but there's more trying to get through, it's the exact same sort of.
Yeah.
It's just a different scale. It's just more. I think a lot of people from the older generation, especially our pros or were pros or whatever, then look at it and like, oh, it's easier these days. It's not. It's the same.
If you take any of the techniques from then, I mean, this day and age, they simply just don't stack up to it, and they can't. A lot of them can't see that. They really struggle with that. No. Well, if you put me against, like Lee Priest saying that he'd be healed back in the day,
I can't.
fucking a bag of crap.
That is absolutely no way.
Really fucking la land.
Yeah.
He was a bodybuilder. Do not get me wrong. A very good bodybuilder. Be healed.
Anybody be
He must have been detailed in every respect. I'm really sorry, but I'm not a 90s guy. I think I have glutes.
To be honest, if Keon gains like 5-10 pounds of muscle, he's beating every bodybuilder in the world.
He's 12 pounds away from his 212 cap.
No, but he won't even need to be above his 212 cap to beat the open guys.
When you take his weight currently into comparison with, for example, Flex Lewis in 212, Flex was having to really squeeze in his cap.
Yeah.
That's usually the opposite.
He's nowhere even.
Yeah. It's college.
Exactly. So it's like the fact that
I've heard this from previous sources. This is interesting, Connor. I don't know if you know this. Flex used to run TRT for almost all year long. Do cycles because it physically had muscle.
Yeah.
That doesn't surprise me, because when he started pushing to go open, I know that he was massive, like, and still shredded as well. Like the weight was just like, it was like the muscle wanted to be on there forever.
I wish he didn't, because it was 2020 that year where he wanted to do open, and then
he had some issues with his gut, I think, where he was doing like liquid all of his meals, but he was like throwing up food and stuff like that.
That sucks, because it would have been cool to see that. There we go.
Yeah.
So, Dan, what other questions have we got for Connor? What other ones have we got?
I wanted to talk to him about how you're planning on balancing coaching with competing this year, because your coaching's grown over the last couple of years, which is cool. And obviously you're planning to compete at an even higher level this year than you have previously. So, what's your thoughts on how you're going to balance the both?
Well, like I was saying to you earlier, Dan, I think last year was the first year I put people on stage. So I learned quite a lot, obviously, without having to compete myself that year, on just focusing on making sure that goes well. Moving into this year, I'm quite lucky in the fact that I don't have anyone on stage in the early part of the season.
Yeah,
So
that's great.
this prep for me is solely focused on me. Obviously, I'm still coaching, but I don't have anyone competing anywhere near until the back end of the year. So it works pretty well. It works pretty well for that.
Yeah.
But obviously, if it was the case where I did have someone competing, it would obviously be a learning curve for me because it's the first time doing it at the same time as me competing. I don't think much would change, to be honest. If anything, I notice I get a lot more productive on prep up until like the very back end. I get a lot more productive. I feel like
So each Christian is saying,
yeah,
Christian Travis is saying, he's mentioned that before. I'm personally not.
No.
I see bits of it. I see bits of it for sure. But then if
the back end, no, but like
no.
in the middle of prep, I'm in my first prep. I think I was just trying to keep myself busy, to be honest. But I think on my first ever prep, I just decided to completely rebrand my whole coaching and move everyone to cheats, and that took fucking ages.
Yeah.
Like, I got it all done, and to be honest, if I was doing it off season, I probably wouldn't have done that. I would have just been too fucking lazy for it.
Do you know what? I have heard this from a lot of people. Some people get really productive on prep, and I think it comes down to your body's natural set point in terms of body composition. If you sit lean, and your body's comfortable there, then sweet. For me, I find that even 8 weeks out, I'm finding it a struggle. My body doesn't like being there, so I definitely couldn't perform as a coach whilst prepping at all. I know that, which is why I haven't done it since, because I've got too many people on stage, and I don't want to disappoint them, so I just kind of have to put them first. I also, another thing I wanted to touch on, especially because you're on kind of the modern social media era of bodybuilding, is what do you think about the current generation of bodybuilders, and where do you think people are going wrong? Give some advice to the people that do want to get into bodybuilding. They're coming from the TikTok era.
Bro, I think people are taking advice off of people who haven't got any muscle, which is it does make sense. I think you don't need to
have loads of muscle when they try.
Yeah.
It's like some stupid thing of some dude bar on road, 100 kilo, and it was just casually rowing your nan's deadlift. I'm like, this.
Who's deadlifting? Yeah, exactly.
Certainly no bodybuilder, so shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
The thing is, you don't get this in any other sport than bodybuilding, where people will outrightly have never done it themselves, but will tell people who have that they're wrong.
Yeah.
Wouldn't see someone watch a fucking Premier League football match and be like, "You're kicking the ball wrong"? No, they're not.
I don't know about that, mate. All fans.
Yeah.
It's a bad example.
Yeah.
Okay, so what about an Olympic weightlifter?
Yeah.
Never, ever Olympic weightlifted that will tell someone that it's wrong because they heard that was the correct. It's just not the thing.
That doesn't, exactly. So in the whole how to grow muscle and stuff, I do like the whole thing with social media boosting the sport, and you can see it in terms of prize money's going up, sponsorship opportunities, helping athletes. It's massive for the sport, and it's really, really cool, and it's obviously opening doors to people, and it's pushing more people to watch the sport, which in return is pushing more money into it. It's great. But obviously the no qualifications required for online coaching or whatever can then bring people into a realm of misleading a whole generation of people into thinking completely the wrong thing with training and overcomplicating things. That I'd say bodybuilding is probably the most simple, not easy, but the most simple sport in the world in regards to the basics of it. When you strip it down to just the basics, it's so simple, but it's so overcomplicated nowadays with no reason. Eat, train, sleep, cover.
I think because a lot of the is that people, in my opinion, with the training side of things, I don't know how you feel about this, Dan, and obviously, I know Dan, you're very good with studies and things like that, and some of the data and stuff. And Connor, obviously, kind of, you can kind of take bits from it, but you see a lot of what things go on, so you'll probably have maybe different or maybe similar views on this. But when someone is presented with a study or something like that, or a governing sort of body, or some sort of science-based study comes along, it was done properly and precisely and everything, I am still skeptical as fuck if they say something that seems somewhat outlandish or something different to what I know. So I don't implement it fully with anyone's programming unless I understand it more, trial it with people, take it and then see how it works, try it myself as well, and then extrapolate from that. Because I don't look, when someone comes out and goes, oh yeah, reps in reserve, like this was ages ago, right?
Yeah.
But reps in reserve is, you shouldn't train it to muscular failure at every single set. And I go, oh, well, maybe it makes sense, but I don't want to do that all the time. Surely I wouldn't be pushed to failure. Surely I've gained all of this muscle and got to 315 pounds, whatever, at my biggest by pushing to failure. And all the guys that I know in the gym who are fucking huge, they well until it's fucking it falls off, sort of thing. So where
that's
taking, but people fucking eat snicker shit and only do this.
That is a really good point. And I've, I am kind of on the nerdier side of bodybuilding. I do read a lot, but I very much agree with you on this. I did a video breaking down reps in reserve training and why people theorize that it could be better than failure training. But I also said in that video that I personally don't think it is. And the reason that I say that is what I tend to look at is anecdotally, if I've seen something continually work, then I know it works. If I've done something with 1,000 people and it works, whether a study says that or not, it just does. And so I will take the studies and I'll do things, I'll trial things on myself, I'll trial things on other people. But you can't use just studies alone because studies aren't always done on bodybuilders. They're usually never done on bodybuilders. They're never done long enough. They're never particularly accurate. So they can give people ideas. That is about the structure.
Usually you want to look at weight-trained individuals, I think, is one of the most important things. And I think, this isn't me saying by any stretch that they're totally, muscle fibers are totally different, but there's lots of things to consider in terms of recovery. There's lots of things to consider in terms of, I suppose, genetic predisposition and stuff like that. There's, look, in terms of a simple like biomechanics thing, if it makes sense and I understand it, I'll take from it, I'll trial it, I'll do it, I'll see how it feels. I'll trial it with several different high-level competitors who are clients. And how does this do when you try this? They'll get back to me. Yeah, love that, love that, love that, love that. Oh my God, so good. One guy goes, not really a fan of that. I'm still going to listen to the guys that loved it.
Yeah.
There's more than, right? So that me was my own little mini study. I just think that there's, with coaches, if you just feel as a study says it, if you just go, yeah, cool, I'll do that for everyone, you're not going to be a long-term good coach. You're going to constantly change your opinion on stuff because studies constantly being outdated and done, aren't they?
I also think you need to look at it as you read the study and does it make logical sense? Because even if a study says that something's true, you need to look at it and be like, does that logically make sense? Like previously, there's been studies that have said about not being able to have like large protein servings and stuff. That have been completely counteracted.
It's been now completely disproven. So listen to the one that was or the one that isn't.
Previously, I've always looked at that and been like, well, why would that make sense? Why would you eat 100 grams of protein and only be able to absorb 25 grams or whatever? Like that doesn't make sense. And I think if you can look at things through that kind of outlook, where it's like you don't just believe everything you read off the internet. Actually, start having your own mindset and coming up with your own ideas and concept based on what you see. Then you'll become a much better coach. Don't just go with the sheep and the herd, because this every week there's a different trend that people want to talk about and say is the next big thing. It ain't.
I think one of the main things currently going around, basically, to be fair, it's probably the past few years as well, but with JP especially, and his sort of cult-like following in regards to like, especially on like the social media at the moment with TikTok and whatnot, there's the whole argument between the low rep training is way more beneficial than having slightly higher reps. And I'm getting comments and stuff where it's like, right, if you're doing anything over 8 reps, it's pointless, you're not growing. And it's like, that doesn't make sense. And then it's the whole, you need to do 3 reps at maximal intensity and you'll grow more than you would if you did a 15 rep set where you push to failure, wherein you're pushing to failure in both of them.
Why powerlifting is not absolutely fucking muscularly enormous.
Exactly.
They're big, the big bodybuilders, they're big, strong guys, but they're not the biggest, are they? They're not the roundest, fullest, unless they've got far more body fat and stuff due to just, whatever. But
I can see the point in some studies. The thing is with studies, like you said, you take a pinch of salt with it. Some of it's good, some of it's not. Some of it you can use, some of it you shouldn't. And it's like, right, you're going to get more hypertrophy out of 3 reps, for example. Great. Are you going to do 3 reps on a fucking bicep curl and risk fucking tearing a bicep? Probably not. You shouldn't do that shit. Like, it's the basics of just common sense as well, and just looking at what pro bodybuilders are doing. At the end of the day, you wouldn't take criticism of someone who you wouldn't ask.
You look at pro bodybuilder who was not obscenely genetically gifted is the thing. It's how they're always do that, right? Because I'm the classic guy that just does whatever the fuck he wants and he still grows, right? The classic black dude, I've got that completely, just literally just does whatever he wants to do. I start following your gym plan now, coach. I was like, oh, for God's sake, you haven't been. And he's like, no. I was like, well, you're up 15 pounds, whatever. Just keep going. So like just as lean 15 pounds up, I'm like, it really is working. Something's working. But yeah, I completely agree. I just, I feel, the thing is, there was like, I read a study, read, I didn't really study really abstract of a study, and then someone explained when they read the full study that anywhere from 5 to 50 repetitions, as long as it's done to muscular failure, leads to exactly the same level of hypertrophy. Well, I don't know if that's true or not, but I'm not going to have people do 50 reps, but I might have them find somewhere in the middle and do 20.
There's factors that people don't consider, right? So even if we said that 3 reps, if performed perfectly, is going to get you more results than 20 reps, how many people can do a 3-rep set with perfect execution? Because the amount of weight that you have to lift to do a 3-rep set, it starts to cause form breakdown, and then you're not getting the same amount of mechanical tension because you're not directing it on the target muscle. So these are why different rep ranges are programmed, and this is where people kind of lose the point. And there's things that haven't been fully studied and understood yet. Things like cell swelling. People don't understand the impact of cell swelling on hypertrophy yet. So until we understand that, we don't know if high rep ranges are going to be more beneficial or not.
Well, it's just a silly thing, isn't it, sometimes? What else have we got for Connor boy?
I did want to talk about what you've kind of learned from the various coaches that you've worked with, and is there any of them that you're implementing in your own coaching?
I think, to be fair, what I learned
basically just goes, I just do it fun tells me to just
Fair.
Tom was going with slightly higher protein. I'd never really had a slightly high protein diet before I started with Tom. And that was I noticed straight away was you put my protein a lot higher than it had been before. And that was never any sort of like detriment to me in regards to digestion or like gut issues or anything like that, which a lot of people tend to complain about. They're like, oh, you shouldn't have your protein.
Oh yeah, because if you're only eating it from chicken and beef, of course you get GI issues.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
if you're eating it from my isolates of chicken and a little bit of beef and a little bit of turkey and a little bit of this and a little bit of that and whatever, it's that issue. And also, I think people who have seen diet plans look at it and go, "Oh fucking hell, it's not on 365 grams of protein. Is only this big." I'm like, yeah, have you considered all the trace that's in there too?
Yeah,
He's like tracking everything. So it's like the bagel has fucking 10 grams, mate, or 8 grams. Like,
Yeah.
Like, you've got 2 of them when you die, 16 grams on top of it. Like,
this is very true. I'm very much a big believer in like protein overfeeding, like high amounts of protein, because we don't want to be under eating protein. And like you said, with the trace amounts of protein and things, if somebody write our diet plan like they used to in kind of the olden days on pen and paper, you might say like this number of ounces of chicken, fish, or whatever. And, to work out your protein, they'd be looking at direct protein sources with complete amino acid profiles. They wouldn't just be looking at, this bread has this much protein, this bagel has this much protein, and we're going to get to 200 grams or whatever, It'd be 200 grams of protein from straight protein.
A high protein diet is definitely something I learned a lot from in regards to how beneficial it actually is. Because at the end of the day, if you are solely coming up as a coach at quite a young age, you're going to learn off you do and what you're taught like directly from the coach.
Yeah.
So with Josh, I can't remember exactly, but I don't think my protein was that high with him. So going to that was a big change. I think just overall in general, just treating it more like professional. For sure, I think tracking different metrics, like actually taking it seriously with, making sure your sleep's good, making sure your rest and recovery is beneficial. You're not actually just training every day because you want it.
For a gym, it's not that big of a deal as long as you're doing enough to kind of get them. But if you're trying to squeeze out every microgram of progression that you can, ultimately, if you want to win something, you want to be at the absolute pinnacle. You're not going to get there by just willy-nillying your way there, are you? Really? And it's anything like any sport, anything like that as well. I mean, I don't know if you guys know about swimmers, like how often swimmers train, especially long distance swimmers, like guys doing like 800, 1500 meter races. They do 2 hours in the morning, they do an hour and a half in the evening.
Mm.
You know, they do that's like 6 days of the week. They have a day off. Some of them do, you know, maybe like a weight training sort of session in the afternoon or something on one of or two of those days. For, you know, but all of those lifts and all of those things that they do, they aren't for physical improvement and physical. They're not doing bicep curls and trying to push those to not beat the arms. They're setting a leg press to a certain angle and a certain degree, and they're pushing off it so that when they do a tumble turn off the wall, they have more power through that specific style of move.
Yeah.
It's all or a box squat to replicate that. It's all designed to be the best at that. It's not that, you know, you eat, sleep, and shit. That's all.
Yeah.
That's all you do. Whereas as a bodybuilder, you've got other things to do. Yes, your training sessions might only be an hour. But you still have to be religious and meticulous with your feet.
Yeah.
You can't be going to bed at fucking 2 in the morning because you fancied going out on a raid every single Saturday. You have to be off 3 or whatever people time to go to bed at almost.
I wouldn't know.
You know, I don't do parties.
Me either.
I've got a son and a missus and their house and a mortgage. I can't spend my money on MDMA. But it's all about that. It's like you know, managing your bodybuilding should be if you want to be best, you have to. You have to be at that point, and Connor wants to be there. And whether he gets to the absolute pinnacle of winning Mr. Olympia in 10 years' time or not will ultimately be a factor in all these things that he does for the next 10 years. So
is that the long-term goal? Is the Olympia the long-term goal?
I'd like to see Connor on the 212 stage in about 6 years, I think. Pros is going to be a fucking uphill struggle because the 212 pros just all guys.
Oh, I think that class has the highest standard out of any class.
Just don't fuck around.
There's
so many good ones.
It's the condition, man. It's because they're trying to hit that weight cap and max it out, and there's only so much you can do with 212 pounds. They are just diced. Like, you know, the amount of guys.
Out amount of muscle that they can physically carry on their frame, maxed out conditioning to allow the most amount of muscle that they can have on their frame within that given weight class. And then obviously, you know, some of them will even do sort of if they manage to get like a 36 or 48 hour sort of weigh-in period before they actually step on stage. Most of them will be in a position where they have quite literally not eaten for a day and a half, 2 days to make weight, restricted water, whatever, to just literally stand on that scale at the weight that they're supposed to. And then as soon as they've got off, they're diving face first into a bowl of green rubbery.
230 on stage.
That's actually right. Some of them are like 219, 220, 222, dried out, hard, full on stage, and you go, well, by the time they actually get there. So, you know, it's a very, very, very competitive class in my opinion. Same as classics. You know, anything with a cap like that, like you are everyone is screwed because there's a limit of what you can do within it, right? So they know where it is, so they fucking aim for it and then they start to limit it. Whereas open section could be 310 this time, 315, 320, 335. He's just gonna keep going until he doesn't need. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like and all the other guys are just gonna keep going, but there is no limits, and then they just go, oh well, I'll get there when I get there.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Right. So yes, I would like to see Connor on the Olympic stage in about 4, 5, 6 years, something like that. As long as it takes. Pros is going to be a slog. Pros.
How far do you want to take it, Connor?
Look, I want to go all the way. I definitely want to go all the way. I think why not? Like why do this if that's not the goal? I think I don't look at it as like not a hobby because that's not the right word, but like I don't look at it as just a bit of fun. Like this is something I want to go all the way with. Sure.
Yeah. No, I can kind of see that with your training and your dedication.
And do you know what's really good? Just don't smile too much, but as Connor is obviously a young lad and a young competitor, to be at the level of muscularity that he is at, with you get guys go, I want to go all the way, I want to be a pro, and he's looking at it, he's going that area, but like looking at his genetic insertions and structure, your legs all pretty much on the way to pro level already, right? Your back's come up massively. You know, you've got balance and flow all over your physique. Yes, there's areas that need to come up. Same with every fucking bodybuilder, right? But you saying it isn't a delusional idiot. You saying it is someone who's like, oh, okay, well, I wouldn't bet against him. Yeah, I wouldn't bet anybody.
No, his rate of progression, like I think
he's right.
I'm trying to think
your
rate of progression. I think the first time I saw you was probably 4 years ago or something. It's been quite a while. And I wouldn't have at that point been like, oh yeah, this guy has pro potential or whatever. But you believed in yourself that you were going to get there from day one, even at 18 and stuff.
Don't ever bet against someone who's actually got that.
I sent a picture to you, Tom. It basically in lockdown I trained in my dad's garage.
I've seen it. I've got it on my phone.
Yeah, I wrote on the wall the date that I wrote it. 2020.
It's not on the wall. It's on a thing. It's on a beat.
Yeah. Yeah, I wrote I, Connor Launder, will be an IFBB pro. I, Connor Launder, will win the Olympia. Or, yeah, I think.
Yeah. We'll win this Olympia.
Yeah. I wrote that in 2020 in lockdown, and then I remember sticking pictures of every single open pro and 212 pro that I idolized and looked up to, like Luke, James, Flex Lewis, whatever, all over the wall. And I just had a squat rack and a barbell, and that lockdown training was the best fucking training ever. That was awesome. But yeah, that's I remember sending you that picture, and you were like, right, we'll go back there and take a picture when we do it.
Yeah,
I can take a picture for the first one. We'll go. Yeah. Is it recurring stuff?
Yeah. So my dad's
got it. They don't fucking sell the house.
No. We'll take him with us.
Yeah. Cut it out.
Yeah.
We'll go back. We'll take a picture. We'll do a little picture with it, and then we'll go back. You can go back how many years it takes. You can go into a picture like that.
So, what would be some advice from everyone to people that are just getting into bodybuilding, people that want to compete for the first time? Like Connor's obviously got a lot of a young audience, people that are just getting into bodybuilding that haven't competed yet. What would be some advice to young bodybuilders?
Don't neglect the basics. Don't overcomplicate it. Just get good at the basic stuff. So learn how to eat, because there is a skill. Pushing food as high as you physically can is difficult. Learn how to do that. Treat it like a professional, like we were just saying. And don't rush, because it will. I think at your first prep, a lot of people who want to compete at 16, 17 plus, whatever, will be disappointed with what they look like on stage. Because you'll drop in. I think I dropped about 30 kilos in my first prep, and I was happy with what but I remember looking back and thinking just look skinny. I don't know. You want to look like a pro.
Yeah.
Straight away. So don't rush it. It takes time. Make the most out of the years where you can make mistakes at this age, and don't be afraid to push it, because it's necessary. I think a lot of people get too scared to push when you need to.
I think, that's a really good point. I also think that the basics thing is just the most important. You are genuinely relatively new to sport. I mean, been in it for 6 months, 8 months, whatever. What the fuck are you doing? Doing cuff this, standard this, reverse this, machine this. I only use a side X. No, my God, mate, shut the fuck up. Get under some proper weight, get very strong in multiple repetitions, in multiple ranges of repetitions and try and become the strongest individual in the gym in specific lifts that are suitable for your frame particularly, right? So that's what I did. That's what I did when I did it. Everyone was in the gym I trained out of my first got into bodybuilding was strongmen and powerlifters from the JCB down the corner who used to go there and go to the pub, eat a pub dinner, drink 4 pints, go home, and then sit there and watch TV whilst their missus fucking looked after the kids. And fucking terrible dads, but fantastic.
What a life! What a life!
Terrible human beings, but very good powerlifters. But they used to go. It was just that level of, there's a guy that used to bench 200 kg, 25 reps in the gym. There's just insane levels of strength that you got there. It was just insane, and so you were constantly pushing for that. And it's your muscle on. Even as a natural bodybuilder, I was, but yeah. Don't try to dumbbell press the 50s was just like this. Oh my God, if you did that, you started to actually be respected somewhat in the gym.
Yeah.
So I'd try and get the 50s up for 6, 7 reps or whatever. And I did that clean as a whistle as well. And then, you just started like squats. I used to squat 140 kg just every week. I just tried to add more until I got to 20 reps. And then I would go heavier. So just literally this silly things like that. Get strong at the basics, get good at eating, realize that if you're a relatively skinny, lanky sort of guy, a bit of extra food here and there is okay. Like, you're all right to get away with a bit of a muffin or a bit of cake, or your mum's made a pizza, but you've just eaten your chicken and rice. Well, have some more of that pizza and have a bit of the lasagna that she's cooked too and stuff. I think that would be, get very good at the basics of just getting food in you and getting strong. Also, one of the other things that I would really, really be sort of very critical of is, Connor, I think you'll probably agree with this more so now, Connor, is try and earn money rather than just thinking about only bodybuilding and scraping by. So take a step back, get a job that allows you to progress and make good money and make good improvements within that career sort of realm. Make bodybuilding around it to begin with. And then once you're able to start making some more money, maybe look at careers that are more suitable to allow you to bodybuild properly. Ultimately, if you don't have enough money, you can't be a good bodybuilder. You scrape by and you look back at some of the stuff that you did, that's cringy as fuck. Like, I wish I had had more cash and just missed one session that week, made an extra 150 quid that weekend to then be able to pay for everything that I needed for a really good week. You know what I mean? Like, just making more money would be what I'd say. Yeah.
Then that's it.
For me,
now, like, looking back, like, when you were younger, like, maybe I should have just put more time into making cash from a normal sort of thing.
Yeah, I think like I said at the beginning, I think when I first looked at social media and people making money through that, I automatically just thought, let me do that. Let me just jump straight in.
Yeah.
Whereas obviously they'd been doing it for a long time to build up to it.
And they got lucky.
Exactly. So that's a massive component. And if you don't get lucky, it's a very, very difficult thing to do. And bodybuilding's expensive. Like food.
But here's the thing: is I remember when Brandon Harding could pay me £200 for a full prep, right?
Yeah.
Because that's all that he could afford at the time. Yeah, when I coached Brandon, like so all of them have been in the position where it's just where they're scraping the right? Whereas as we see it, I mean, certainly the guy drives a fucking R8 now. Okay, it's not as if he's making, scraping by. So it's one of those things like, just because he did that doesn't mean that you can do it immediately. Have something to help you build what you want to build alongside it. Then when it's time, dude, I was working a security job making white money. Like, bro, I used to fucking make like £300 a week, and that was it. Like, dude,
Samson wasn't Samson only just like 2-3 years ago? He was still doing his whatever job he had, like a handyman job or whatever.
That wouldn't surprise me.
He was doing that up until Hostile gave him a contract.
Yeah,
and that was
because those magical contracts don't fall out of the sky.
No,
they are built by your physique, and your physique can get in there without pennies to fuel the physique.
Yeah, 100%.
You ain't standing on a pro stage unless you've got some spare cash floating around in your back pocket. Like your growth hormone bill, your fucking trend bill, your fucking coach, your fucking food bill. That sort of shit ain't gonna like magically appear in front of you. You need to make money. Like,
you know what? Another thing is like the quality of food that you can actually, because a lot of people, right, they double down on, everybody is so obsessive with training at the moment, like the intricacies of different exercises, whether it's using a cuff for every other thing, tempos and execution, the way that you can isolate a muscle the best. But the focus on nutrition is shit. Like, people eat like shit. They will be so obsessive and then eat like crap, and it's all
every single process thing that they could possibly come up to. And don't get me wrong, it's totally fine for you in the absolute total lump bit. Ultimately, I would much rather be eating a good piece of quality beef or a good quality chicken breast and some rice and some vegetables than eating processed powder number 1, processed powder number 2, and processed powder number 3. Don't get me wrong, you need it as a bit for convenience, you do, and it breaks up the monotony of eating the same shit. But like, do you really want to do that all the time?
I think the thing is, a lot of these people that have that mindset, that don't have a lot of muscle, would have 10 times better physiques if they spent 90% of that time focusing on nutrition. Like, if they knew,
or working, people with more nutrition.
Yes, actually to be able to afford the food bill to actually get big.
Study, bro, just go fucking Barbell Road and then go 3 hours at the local pub, make an extra 30 quid, and go buy a fucking few boxes of chicken. All right?
Yeah.
It is the whole treat it like a professional thing. That I think they a lot of people look at it as in, well, these top pros don't have jobs, but they did have jobs.
Yeah, a lot of them still do have jobs, but you don't see that they have jobs because nobody posts, like, as a pro bodybuilder goes and posts, oh yeah, look at me and my job, my desk job,
working behind the desk.
Yeah, or as a PT or whatever. A lot of these people are still putting in some crazy hours, because even another thing,
do you know John Meadows? John Meadows used to have a full-time career, didn't he, as well? Like a full-time, he was working corporate, I think he worked in like corporate sort of banking sort of thing. I think he worked in like really
Well,
high level stuff, right? And really like good paying job, yeah, as a competitive bodybuilder. So, you know what I mean? He doesn't sit there and go, truck,
I think people are very misunderstood when they think that you're going to turn pro and immediately earn money. Because now, especially with the amount of pro cards, especially with the amount of pro cards that are being given out at the moment, there isn't sponsorships for everybody that's turned pro. Loads of people, even turning loads of people that are pro, I have never heard of before. Like, I don't know their social media handles. They have no following. I do not know who they are, which is wild because I follow bodybuilding every day of my life. And you can be an IFBB pro and I still don't know who you are. So, do you know what I mean? So if people think that, you're going to earn nothing in life and you're going to just grow off bodybuilding and then you're going to be rich because you turn pro, you're sadly mistaken, because you won't turn pro and you probably won't get a contract either.
That card doesn't change shit. Like, you have a new title, but that's not it.
Unfortunately, oh dear. Right, guys, it's been a pleasure.
Thanks for having me on.
Has anybody got anything they need to shout out or promote?
You can follow me on Instagram and ask me to help you coach you if you want. Same as you can do for Dan and Connor, I suppose.
Yep.
I'm Evolution Training. We have _ Dan _.
Yeah. Okay.
We have Connor Launder. I don't know. What's your handle, bro?
Connor Launder _ I think.
Oh, you could have come up with something so cool, couldn't you?
Well, I'm waiting to add the IFBB Pro to it.
IFBB Pro Connor Launder.
I might just go buy that handle now.
It's like I'll 500 with it.
Account with that one.
Yeah. Lock it.
That would be such a good business, Neil.
The password for it and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, all variations of it as well. IFBB Pro Connor Launder.
Yeah.
IFBB Pro Connor L _ IFBB.
That would be so savage.
That'd be horrible.
Can you imagine if somebody just started doing that for every bodybuilder, like name that they thought was going to turn pro, and then sold it on a website? I'm going to do this.
Idea. Total arsehole thing to do.
I know, but you could make some good money doing that.
Some desperate pros. And I to be fair, dude, I mean, you could just be like Vanilla Quadzilla, couldn't you?
Vanilla Gorilla. I think that's.
You got the quads. You got to be Quadzilla, bro. Like you know.
Yeah, happy then, boy.
Translucent check-in. Right, bro. Yeah, really good. I'll catch up with you guys soon anyway. So thank you everyone for listening, and we'll catch you guys in a bit.